Howdy YouTubers. Well, you're probably thinking, what in the world is this? Well, I guess I'll show you. This is a little bits solid state driver. This stuff. You can get those little synth speakers and stuff. But this is basically a MIDI interrupter. So if you're into this, I'll just show you the parts. Alright. Here's your power module. You have to have a power module. Otherwise, it's a pain in the neck. And for this project, I use this DC power supply. It supplies 5 volts at 2.5 amps. And it loves that voltage. Otherwise, this chip gets really hot. Because I tried using a 9 volt 1 amp power supply. Then, you have to have this. Well, this is optional. This is the keyboard. Okay? It's got a bunch of buttons on it. And this makes different tones when you click each button. I'll show you what it does later. Now, this right here, you must have. See what it says on top of there? Oscillator. You must have this. If you don't have this, it will not work at all. You have to have the oscillator. Next thing you'll need is the synth speaker. Normally, your speaker sits on your module like that. But it has a quick disconnect. See? It's got a hookup. See that there? It's got a disconnect unit. Now, this wire is just a wire head laying around, and it fits in that port perfectly. So that's what I'm using. Now, that's your low voltage side. Now, let's talk about the high voltage side. This does use high voltage, so I'm not responsible for what you do with this. This is a small AC flyback transformer. You must use a small transformer. If you try and drive a Tesla coil, this light gets really low, and that transistor right there gets really hot, and it doesn't work at all for the Tesla coil. For this, on the other hand, though, that's another story. Then you can use this to see if it's working. And this is small AC powered. I tried using a DC one. That's a DC flyback inside there. And it didn't do a thing at all. So, I'll show you what this does. Alright? Now, I'll show you the order. I'm going to show the most simplest one and the cheapest. Alright? Oh yeah, and by the way, these are all magnetic, so watch. You just snap it together. So, just like that. Then, you get your DC power supply. Hook it up. Now, you flip that on. A red LED will come on, as you can see. Now, as you can tell, there's no sound. Due to it being, oh yeah, that's right, solid state. Now, this here is a potentiometer. It's a oscillator, so it adjusts the frequency. So, as I turn it up, the light comes on. As I turn it down, the light goes off. Now, this is the cheapest version that you can get. Now, I'll show you the more complicated version. This. It's not really complicated, it's just more expensive. It's another $20. Now, you hook that up. Now, it's not on, right? But I push the button. It's in hold right now. It's so I can tune it and everything. Or I can do that. Don't know if you can hear that. But then you can make it just flicker. Just flash whenever you push the button. So what I'm doing is replacing the speaker's coil, because it's just the primary of magnet wire, with the primary of a small AC flyback. All I did was just take this speaker off and just use the output of this device and hooked it up to this flyback transformer. That's all I did. So it's a solid state driver. So I'll put this back on hold. And if you're not into this stuff, but you're starting it all, there's a little switch right here, right by your tune knob. which changes your tune and everything, there's a little switch. And that is what switches between just press and where it keeps the tune, like that. See? Not holding it, and it's on. Now, you can adjust your potentiometer. Light goes off, light goes on, light goes off. And if you get shocked by this thing, it hurts pretty bad, but not real bad, because it's such a small transformer and it's operating at such a low voltage. Now, if you have a solid state relay, then you can power that, because then you can give it like 30 volts on the primary, because then this circuit is not hooked up to the primary, it's only hooked up to a solid state relay, which is like a transistor, which is exactly what you need. And you can still use all this, it's just that it's a lot easier to use. So, I'll show you something else. This transformer likes a certain frequency. See, if you change this knob, it really messes with the deal. Because see, at one point, I think it just it shut off. So you change this knob, so you can mess with that knob or this knob. It doesn't do much at all. Now, if you don't necessarily want to change the frequency, if you just want to change the brightness, the speaker has a volume control. So you can just turn the brightness down or turn it up, just like that. Now I'll show you what this thing does without a flyback. I'm actually going to make some noise. Now, this is with the speaker. See, this is what your synth speaker will look like when it's put together. But this speaker just comes right off because it's got this Velcro kind of stuff, except it's a lot better than Velcro. Now, hear the change? Now I'm going to turn this volume down a little bit. Again, this is all magnetic, so you can just take it apart and everything within just seconds. Oops. Now watch. Or listen, more like. Just listen. That's what happens if you change this knob, the tune module. That's what that is. It's your tune on your, no wait, that's not tune. That's your octave. Sorry, that's your octave. That's the octave. That actually changes whether it's like a F minus or a what octave you're gonna have. See, that's pretty high frequency. You can adjust it all by doing that too. Hear how it's so different? Let me turn that down a little more. Oh, and the speaker module also has a headphone jack. Still pretty daggone loud. Yeah, this speaker is pretty loud. It seems pretty quiet now. Now I'm going to put it in hold so I can mess with the frequencies without having to push a button. So there's that. See, that adjusts the frequency. Now you change the tune. And it completely changes it. And that frequency, you can't even hear this button. See? So you change this knob. So you don't even hear it that way. And that makes it very high frequency. And you can also adjust the frequency with this. But if you get the mixer, if you know what that is, you can turn this into a MIDI interrupter, which means that you can play more than one tune at once. Why is it changing like that? I like that frequency. What?
Piercing my ears.